The name of this solo podcast is When Opportunities Are Seized, They Multiply. This is something it is that I learned a few years ago. I learned the power of understanding this by another YouTuber by the name of Jonathan Rodriguez, I believe is what his name was. Joseph Rodriguez, actually. I'll include his link to his page in the description if you want to check out his videos. Most of his videos have to do with faith and applying faith towards your goals, what it is that you want to do. And since this is the first month of the new year, when you're seeing this, I'm recording this at the beginning, but I'll be scheduling it later on in the month of January of 2026. This is kind of the time when we've made our New Year's resolutions, we've started to move in that direction, and then our old habits, our old ways of thinking, our ways of basically self-sabotaging start to come up towards the end of the month, right? We have essentially a short window in order to reestablish a habit, and then once that habit is reestablished, then we can kind of coast off of that momentum, right? It takes around 21 days, I believe, 21 to 30 days in order for a new habit to be established. And so how does this relate to the title of the video? Well, what it is that I've noticed in my own progress as an artist, and really my own process of living as a human being, having this experience of being a human being, what it is that I've noticed is that we will never be able to see what is right around the corner whenever it is that you take an opportunity or whenever it is that you turn an opportunity down. So much of the consequences of our actions are completely invisible to us. And I think that is by design. I think life is designed in that way. I think we are only allowed to see what is right in front of us, the next step that's right in front of us. And it seems to be a test of faith. It seems to be a test of trust. Can you trust in the process of what it is that you're doing? Can you trust your own inner authority? And this is something it is that is educated out of us throughout our entire lives. You know, our educational system is basically rooted in the philosophy of doing away with the inner authority that each one of us has. We know this by a feeling. We know it we call it a gut feeling. We call it an instinct. It's the deep knowing. And we feel like if we follow that, then we don't know what's going to happen. But there's this feeling that comes with this deep knowing that this is our path. And I think as artists, we get very much in our own heads because we look at the landscape of everything. We look at AI, we look at the quote-unquote job opportunities and all of these different things. And we can forget that life doesn't work the way it is that our mind tells us it does. You know, our mind will look at a situation and say, well, I don't see any way to get through this. I don't see any way it is that I could be successful with what it is that I really want to do. But the truth of the matter is that if you really consider it, there is no circumstance where it is that you will really feel differently. It's more of an internal decision that you make, that you say, okay, this is the path it is that I'm walking. I'm walking this path because it's meaningful to me. And it's something that I feel called to do. And that's the reason why it is that I'm doing it. And I know that I'm called to do this because this is when I feel the most engaged with life, right? A lot of the times since we've been educated by a society that basically teaches us to sabotage ourselves, what we do is we try to come up with some mental solution to a problem, right? We say, oh, well, we want freedom from the rat race. We want to escape this disaster of a lifestyle it is we've set up for ourselves, where all we do is work and for somebody else, making somebody else rich, and we never get ahead of ourselves. But we try to create some sort of mental solution to what it is that might mean, right? And we always start with this idea that, okay, well, I need to get a lot of money. But what we don't understand is that this is just another trick from the system. The system sells you on this idea that what you need to do in order to escape the rat race is you need to get ahead of yourself. You need to just get ahead, right? So what does that mean? That means you need to work more. That's what it is that it means. It means you need to, instead of working 40 hours a week, go ahead and get yourself a side hustle and do that as well. And then stack up a bunch of money, and then eventually you'll get to a point where you can leave. If you look at the most successful people in the world, this is not how it is that it works at all. And they're deliberately telling people this so that they waste the best years of their life. Because in your 20s and 30s, or at least your early 30s, something like that seems to make a lot of sense. It seems like, well, I mean, if I work 2 jobs, then I will have more money. And that is true, obviously, you will. But the other thing is that you will burn yourself out. You'll burn yourself out, and you won't be able to actually put your energy into the thing it is that you deeply want to. And at that point, by the time you've burned yourself out, you've probably completely forgotten what it is that your whole life experience is meant to be. What is it that you're really passionate about? Because you've been so focused on making money and trying to escape this rat race, which makes sense, that you have put everything else on the back burner, thinking that this makes logical sense. But in actuality, it doesn't make any sense. Because what it is that you learn as you go down this path of being an artist is actually the exact opposite. Okay? An opportunity to draw more, to create more, will present itself. A collaboration, a person that you meet, an opportunity to basically step forward in faith will present itself to you. You have the choice of either following that or not. But what it is that I've learned is that every single time you seize one of these opportunities, they multiply, right? Because wherever it is that we put our attention, which is our energy, then we are essentially planting new seeds for those to come to fruition in the future, right? Another way of saying this is that it's really just about persistence, but it's not about hard work, really. It's not about hard work. There's a spiritual aspect to this. There's an element to this that is 100% born of the Spirit. When you plant these seeds, eventually they come into fruition. Eventually they will come back to you in some other form. It may not be the form it is that you think it is, but it will come back to you. And this is what's so interesting to me when I look back on being an artist. There's been long periods of time when I didn't have a stable income. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to have a stable income, but what I learned was that in my early years, I had created so many opportunities for myself to draw. I would work part-time jobs instead of full-time. Everybody else around me would work full-time, but I would work the bare minimum so I could put the rest of my time into my drawing. I would do the same thing later on in life. There was opportunities to make more money that came to me that were supposedly very promising positions and in different areas, but I always chose myself and my passion over everything. And that led me to not having those resources it is that I wanted at that time. But what it is that I got out of it was the truest resource, which was that I now own myself. I own my own life. I have clients it is that I work with, freelance clients and things like that. And so there is a service element to what it is that I do. There is that element of it that is a business. But in terms of how I live my life, how I structure my life, the idea of going back to doing this 9-to-5 thing makes no sense. And like I was saying, as I created those opportunities for myself, for a long time it was very difficult because I would be drawing and it would seem like nothing was happening. Nothing was really forming. But then over time, it became my life. Even when I didn't have, like I said, even when I wasn't even making money from my art, somehow money would just show up and it would give me these huge chunks of time in order to do what it is that I wanted to do, which was to draw. And so I think it's really interesting because we don't understand that whenever it is that you are following your heart's desire, then life has to respond to that, because there is a reason why it is that you're here. You're here for a very unique reason. You have a unique vision that you're supposed to share with the world. And when you begin to go down that path and you show your faith in this path, God will honor that, right? That's why I say on this channel that being an artist, it's very much like being on a vision quest, right? If you look at all of your favorite fantasy films or your favorite hero myths, you look at Star Wars, you look at Lord of the Rings, or any of these different classic stories, the hero is going on a journey, and there is so much uncertainty and unpredictability in that journey, and he has to work his way through that. So I'm encouraging people to really look at their lives in that way. Look at your quote-unquote career path in that way. Don't look at it as a career, look at it as what it is. It's a vision quest. It is a quest for discovering a deeper sense of who it is that you are and why are you on this earth. It's not about making money. And if you put that ahead of the need to make money, the irony is that those opportunities and those resources will begin to manifest themselves for you automatically. Okay? That doesn't mean you won't be tested. It doesn't mean it's not difficult. So guys, I put together a free ebook that goes deeper into my philosophy of art, and I've included a link to the ebook down below. You just have to sign up for my newsletter and you can get the free ebook. It's just a short little ebook if you would like to learn more about the way that I think about creativity. And make sure to give me a like. Let me know what it is that you think about this topic. And thank you guys. Take care.